Hello all you amazing people, remember you're always amazing because you clicked on this video out of all the videos you clicked on. And if you want to be more amazing, help us get to 1,700 subscribers before the end of February, would help us out a lot. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a tier list on how much a character is worth raising. Now, S tier is going to be pretty exclusive. A tier is like, you know, basically every main DPS, because your main DPS should be 90. And then B tier is like, you know, for characters that may be like, you know, level 70-ish, you know, they're decent. And C tier is kind of meh. Like, you can raise them, but it's not like your account's about to shoot up in power because of it, right? So immediately, let's just put in Yelan. Yeah, she's gonna go S because at level 90, well, her HP increases, so that, like, by a couple thousand. I think it's like 10,000 to 12,000, I think, from level 90. But yeah, she's an HP scaler. Let's just get this out of the way. All of the HP scalers are gonna go. All right, I don't have a single HP scaler that's actually up here. Wow. Okay. From taking Yelan to level 80 to level 90, she gets a better buff than most characters. Oh yeah, and then we'll also put Nilou up here. So Nilou, Yelan, just characters like this. Nilou honestly might be the 90 queen, I would say. Like, she might actually be worth 90ing, like one of the best characters in the game worth 90ing, because realistically, her from level 80 to level 90 is going to give you a huge power difference. All right, so then we have Aloy. Yeah, she's going to go in C. I'm sorry, but like, she's just, there's so many other options. Like, if you want to cryo DPS, you just raise Ayaka. Like, she's a 4-star, she's limited. Like, we'll put her up to B because you get bragging rights for actually raising her, right? So we'll put Amber also up here, right? So B will be just bragging rights for raising just such a terrible character, right? So these three will be here. Actually, no, I'm not even gonna, no. Yeah, these three are just awful. Do not raise them. They're bad. They're not worth raising. Razor, we're gonna put in B. I feel like he's a decent DPS. He's not godly, right? He's not amazing anymore. He's not one of the best DPSs in the game like he used to be. Also, we have Eula, which is basically a direct replacement for this guy. So, yeah, unless you're using full EM, which is a whole nother story. Xiao, we're going to put at A. And honestly, I could see you putting him at S, because here, Xiao, you're really looking at his scaling. His scaling from level 80 to 90, if you're crowning his skill, yeah, that's going to be an insane buff, so I could definitely see him going to S. However, we're going to put him at A because all it is his scale. Yeah, we'll put him in S. Why not? Yeah, he's a god tier when you crown his skills. That's another thing with characters. We have to calculate their talent levels, because obviously if you level them up past a certain point, you know, you get better talents, right? I'm just going to get the obvious boys up here. Where is he? So yeah, we have these three characters. I mean, Bennett, Kazuha, Kujisara. Like, I don't think I need to say anything else. Crown Kazuha, crown Bennett, crown Kujisara. Like, it's just, these guys are so broken. Like, you just want them to be max level, because especially these two. These two are able to give a massive, like, you could leave Kazuha where he's at, but he's worth the 90. Like, he's worth leveling up. He's that good. He's worth 90. Whereas these two, you really want to max out their base attack, so you want to get them to, like, level 90, right? Just some of the best supports in the game, right? Now, I'll hate them. Now, we have to look at a different thing with dendro characters, is that their level. Their level can determine how good they are, right? If you're running Alhaitham on a Bloom team, he is absolutely 100% worth 90. There is no argument against it. He is the guy you want at level 90. So that's about, I mean, that's what I have to say. Like, Alhaitham is the boy you want at level 90. He is a god for Bloom teams. And then let's go with Yunjin. I'm gonna give her an A. She is not as good of a support as like Kujisara and Bennett, and then obviously Kazuha. And she really doesn't get that much. She gets energy recharge as her ascension stat, which is okay, but she didn't really need it. Just give her Felonious Lance, and you just give her some energy recharge substats on your defense pieces. Yeah, she's completely fine. It really is not that big of a difference between Yunjin at level 80 to 90, so we're not going to put her at S. Tartaglia, we're going to put him at, I guess, A, because he's a main DPS, right? He's a really good main DPS, and I guess you could do a Bloom team with him. You don't really want to do a Bloom team with him, but, you could do a Bloom team, and, he could be, worthwhile raising, just because he's a good DPS, so you want him to do as max, damage as possible. Now, Raiden, the reason why she's at 90 is, well, because Hyper Bloom Raiden exists, so already there. And then she's a main DPS, so she's god tier for, actually dealing damage. So, yeah, basically, Raiden's up here because she's a main DPS, so she gets more points for that already. So, Aloy could be in B, but if she's just such a bad DPS, I just don't feel like she really should count at all. She's just bad, man. But let's talk about Raiden. Raiden, she's a main DPS, and she's in Hyper Bloom. Hyper Bloom at C0 is her best team, so that's automatically, she's going to have to be at S, right? Because she needs to be level 90 for that. Now, let's go and talk about 2 other Electro characters that, really are Hyper Bloom-centric or, Aggravate-centric. Yeah, these 2 characters. These 2 characters, Kuki and Fischl, they're great. Kuki is basically a replacement for Kokomi on Hyper Bloom teams. Look, Kuki, she was already a great character, and then she replaces Kokomi. Just perfect. But yeah, those 2, it's just self-explanatory. It's exactly the same thing as Raiden, but they're not main DPSs. Honestly, that could help out Fischl not being a main DPS, because she does more damage than Raiden. You get what I mean when I say she does more damage than Raiden, off-field, right? Kuki, I don't think she does that much damage at all, but her AoE for Electro is really good. Yanfei, she's going to go at B. She's a decent DPS. She's not a mega busted DPS like A, right? So that's where our mega busted DPSs are going to go, right? Yoimiya, I think we'll put her at A once again. I think it's just... It depends, because I don't know how huge her multiplier from level 80 to 90 goes, because she does get extra multiplier levels for her E-skill. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's the huge mega buff that we normally see. So you definitely want to level her up because she's your main DPS, and she's also able to do damage. That's basically all I can say. We're going to assume that you're using Sinnoh, Hyper Bloom, or some sort of teams. Sinnoh, while he's not like a god tier DPS, I think if you have him and you're raising him, you shouldn't just stop at 70, right? It's not like, oh yeah, we got Aloy, we raised her to level 70, never raising her again. No, you want to keep raising him because he gets a lot of damage off of, actually level 90 him. Same with Tignari. I believe, once again, spread does scale with level, so most of the Dendro characters and, Electro characters are going to end up on S tier. So, S tier, it looks really, not, exclusive, but I promise you it is. It's just these certain reactions are making them really busted. Albedo, I think we can honestly leave him at B. He does not get that huge of a buff off of his levels. It's scaling with defense once again. Defense is basically, I think, a little bit better than attack depending on your weapon. Obviously, Albedo has low base attack, but that doesn't really matter. It's just he's not like an insane character that you need to raise, right? He's just a slightly off-field DPS. He doesn't really do that much damage. Really, I'm kind of disappointed in the way Albedo works. I'm not the biggest fan. Diluc, once again, he's gonna go... Oh, no, not there. He's going to go in A, just because he's a main DPS. He's a really good main DPS. He does good damage. So, yeah, I think A, Diluc is where he deserves to be at. He gets a lot of... His bird, if you're going for a burst build, gets a lot of scaling. So, yeah. Keqing, honestly, once again, we're using Aggravate Keqing or Hyper Bloom Keqing. Either way, S, because she needs to be, high level for those teams' reactions. So, yeah, you want to get her to level 90. Let's talk about Ayato. It's the same thing if you're using him with Bloom teams, which is most likely where he's getting used nowadays, I believe. It's either that or Electro Charge teams, which, I imagine that the Bloom teams are going to win over the Electro Charge teams. I think his best team right now is probably... This is just me speculating. I don't know, definitively. but I've seen this team. I've seen Ayato, Nilu, Kuki, and then another character. I can't exactly remember, but it was... it would have to be a dendro character. So it was probably Nahida or maybe the Traveler. We really need a dendro character that's able to apply off-field. We need it so desperately because, like, Nahida, she's decent, but she's not, like, the god that, like, Xingqiu or something, right? Now, Barbara. We're going to put Barbara at B because she heals so much that you do not need to level her up before you don't need any more healing from Barbara. Barbara is good enough as she is, right? She is so good at level 70 probably. Like, my Barbara is at level 40. Level 40 or 50. And she's still able to recover like a third of my health, right? And I don't think that Barbara needs to be that high of level. So that's why she's going to go in B. You definitely could argue for C. I really do not care for this one. Nahida, go to level 90 because spread reaction... She hits like a truck. My Nahida hits for like 27,000-ish. I've seen her hit 30,000. She hits like a truck. Also for Bloom teams, if you're running her as your driver, sorta. Yeah, this is what a driver should look like. Not this, okay? This is what a driver shouldn't look like. Now, let's talk about Kokomi. Kokomi, I think, honestly, can stay at level 70. Unless she's triggering the blooms. Sadly, if she's triggering the blooms for herself, she has to be an S. But if she's not, and you're just using her as off-field, you know, maybe Hydro Appliance, yeah, she would still have to go in S, maybe. I don't know. Depends on which reaction comes first, the Hydro or the Dendro. But yeah, depending on what team you're running, Kokomi is either S or B tier, because she really doesn't need that many levels after, like, 70, I don't think. We'll put Diona up here also. Diona is she scales so much off of her HP, like, just off of that alone. If you're using Diona and you like using her, you use her a lot, level 90 her, because she's gonna end up being a god. Like, she's gonna help you out so much in terms of, it's gonna help you out so much having like an extra 2k HP or like 1k HP. I forget the exact number that she gains. Farazan, I'm gonna have to put her up here. I don't think level 90 for her. She gives a small amount of her base attack. It's not an insane amount, so I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I think she definitely deserves to be up here. I definitely could see her at A. Now, Rosaria, yeah, like A at best. Like, I would say, should we just... I think we'll put Rosaria in A, because she's not like... You could 90 her, but it's not a necessity. She can definitely deal without being 90, and you can just leave her at like level 70 or level 80. Or maybe like 70 out of 80. You really want to unlock all of her passive skills, and at that point, you're good. Her C6 is completely fine. Everything is fine. She can do some decent damage on her burst, which is why I'm putting her up here, because she has a decent multiplier on her burst that I think, in total, looking at her burst, you gain, what, an extra 70% damage, like with the 2 hits combined. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about there. And then Dory. At level 70 at best for Dory. Like, if you need Dory's kit, level 70 at best. I don't think any more is justified for her, honestly. Yeah, level 70 at best. Don't even raise her past that. There's no point. Shangling, because she's just a massive off-field damage dealer, she's going in S. Like, that is your pure... She's doing, like, main DPS damage off-field. We're good on that. I think everybody noticed that. Xiangyun, he's just not good. I'm sorry, but like, he's just like, these guys, they're up here because they're like decent DPSs. Xiangyun's just not. Like, he converts your damage to cryo, but hold on, is that a passive talent that you unlock? I really do not look at Xiangyun's kit a lot, but Cleet, she's your main DPS once again. She's not exactly a, you know, god tier DPS, but she can get the job done, and she is still very good. So I think Klee, you know, get her to level her up as much as you can, just because she's a main DPS. And if you're using Klee, then you obviously want to use her. Dendro main character. If you don't have Nahida, it's pretty good rate. I think get him to level 80. I think Dendro main character level 80, level 70, around there is where they're good at. And then we have Hazo. He's going to go up in here with those DPS boys. We'll just put him next to the DPS boys. He's just a really good Anemo DPS, especially now with C6 Farazan. Yeah, I think just a really good Animo DPS. Just, yeah, that's about all I can say for him. Noelle, once again, she's a good DPS, so she's going to stay in B. Wanderer, that's a really good DPS, so he's going to be an A, right? Yeah, we're going to go through all of this. Toma. Toma is a special case. Right now, S, because he's the literal only character with Burn Gion capabilities. But there's definitely a character coming at some point that's going to replace Toma. I doubt that they would just release they would just release Burn Gion and never care about it again. The next Pyro character we get, either Dea or another Pyro character, that has to do something with Burn Gion. I swear. There's no way they leave Toma in the dust like that. Or, no, not even the dust. No, Toma is up there in the first place of the race, all right? Look, Toma, he's the only guy racing. That's the thing. Yay Miko. She's good. Like, she's good. Good burst DPS. I would say like 80, 90-ish, but, you know, I wouldn't say that she's like god tier. She doesn't get like a huge buff from like, no, actually she's aggravate, right? Yeah, we have to deal with aggravate for Yay Miko, so S. So yeah, Yay Miko can go in S. You know, a lot of characters lately seem like they want to be at level 90. I don't know. Goro, I think he... As much as I want to say S, I think you can definitely leave him at level 80 and you'll be fine. But you definitely should try and 90 him if you're like an Ito main such as myself. Like, try and 90 and crown that burst. Like, his E skill. He's such a useful character. I really think that Ito benefits a huge chunk off of him. But at level 80, I don't really think there's going to be a huge difference. But there is definitely going to be like a damage buff from level 90 him. Should you raise him? Yeah, but we'll put him at A tier. I don't know. It's a weird thing because you really don't need to raise Venti. The only thing that you get from him, unless you're doing an actual Animo DPS build, like, you know, you're using him for his Animo damage, he doesn't really gain much. Like, he really doesn't. He does gain the pulling factor from having a higher level, but that's about it. So, Kole... yeah, she gonna go in there. She just really is not worth raising. Layla, I mean, she scales with HP, right? Scales with HP, cryo shielder. If you don't have Diona, basically get Layla. That's all I can say. Beto, we're gonna put an A. I mean, she's just an off-field damage dealer. She's really good at it too. Yeah. Ning Wong, she's just not even a good DPS. If you want a Geo DPS, just use Noelle. Like, yeah. Kaya. I think we'll put Kaya in B. Like a level 70 Kaya. Like, you could definitely deal some good damage, like some good cryo damage with Kaya. But I feel like he's just not worth raising for 90% of the game. Like, the only character that is like really, really good and really useful for raising or using with Kaya is Diluc. And Ayaka is better than that because, well, Ayaka does 500k. Speaking of Ayaka, we're putting Ayaka there. So Yay Miko is here because she was, you know, a burst DPS. She has aggravate, right? Ayaka, she doesn't really do aggravate or like anything that is based off her level. She just does a load of damage, and her multiplier for her burst is godly, right? Ito, I think we're gonna put at A tier again. Like, he gains, you know, an extra 10% of his defense being attack, but I don't really think that it's a huge difference. And, you know, his board actually, you know, does gain a huge, you know, 60% damage buff. You can use that twice within his E skill. Like, that is a huge damage buff, but at the same time, meh. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's an insane requirement for him. He does get a decent damage buff, but I don't think it's, you know, I think leaving him at level 80 and, you know, obviously trying to get him to level 9 because he's a DPS, right? You want him to do as much damage as possible. Yeah, I don't think I would, you know, make sure that he's gonna be in top tier, right? Now, Hu Tao. Hu Tao is up here because her scaling with HP, once again. HP being, you know, an extra couple thousand HP. She gets about an extra 2,000 HP from being level 80 to level 90, and then she also is going to get an extra bit of crit damage also. So yeah, it also does matter like their ascension stats, because like Ito does get crit rate, but it's not like, I wouldn't call it an insane stat, right? We'll put her at B because she's a healer, but really she doesn't need to be leveled at all. You could just use her at the, well, you do want to get her to level 70. We'll get her to level 70 just because, well, she is actually going to be pretty decent because she'll recover 20% of her own energy and all that. So yeah, Lisa, she's not really, if you proc hyper blooms with her, like if you're that desperate for an electric character to proc hyper blooms with, then yeah, sure, level 90. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't know if she should actually be in level 90. I really don't think she should, but you know, we'll put her up there for the memes. Shinha, yes, because Shinha wants as much attack as possible, and she gives a massive cryo damage buff. Sayu, just no. Sayu just does not get it. Ganyu, she has massive multipliers, so she's gonna stay over here at S. Like, just her level 10 talent goes so much more damage, man. Eula, yeah, she's also gonna be up here because you crown her talent, and she's doing an insane amount of damage. Just the multiplier for her, once again, just high multipliers make gods, right? Zhongli is an HP shielder. Yeah, I don't really think I need to say anything about that. Like, he's literally just a god. He petrifies for longer once you get his Q skill higher levels. So, yeah. Now, Xingqiu. Xingqiu, we're going to put him at A because he's a pretty good off-field damage dealer, right? Really would say, like, level 70-ish is where you want him. But, honestly, again, his E-skill does a lot of damage depending on who you're using it with. Just Bennett alone, I think, made my E-skill do, like, 50,000. Like, yeah, it's insane. His E-skill does a lot of damage because it has such a high multiplier. Xinyan just is bad. Candace would be really good if she actually was, like, really good. Like, if she functioned really good, she would be worth the 90 because she's an HP scaler, but she just has not proven herself to be that useful. Same with Yao Yao. Yao Yao is also the same sort of story. Like, if she was doing more with her HP, like dealing damage, then yeah, sure. But all she does is heal with her HP. That's about all I can say. Just, yeah. And then Sucrose, I think we can put her in A safely just because you level her up to level 70-ish. She's just going to help you out so much because of her passive talent with the EM. Probably want to level her up even more because I believe she gets EM off of being leveled up. So, yeah, just level her up. But honestly, I think my Sucrose is level 70 out of 80, so that's where I left her at. So, yeah. Mona, just a massive burst scaling once again. When the character scales massively, then it just makes the character so much better at, like, a higher investment. So, yeah, here is the how much you should invest character, I guess. It's not exactly accurate. I would say that you probably shouldn't build, like, Sinnoh above, like, Tartaglia, Yoimiya. Like, I would say those two would probably be better, but in terms of using Sinnoh and how much you want to invest in him, you need to get him to level 90, right? So, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.